Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the LaunchDay Shorts podcast. I'm your host, Dean Cvetkoski, a.k.a. WhoDean, and in studio today we have a very, very lovely lady by the name of Maria Contera. Maria, how are you going?
I'm so well today. Thank you, Dean. How are you?
Very, very good, thank you. Very good. So Maria, we've crossed paths a couple of times, but we haven't formally met. And so, I haven't really had a good opportunity to get to know who you are and what it is that you're doing. And actually, I think still to this very moment, I still don't know exactly what it is you do. And the thing is, a lot of our audience that are going to be watching, the great thing about that is they're not going to know either. So do you want to take it away and do some introduction? Who is Maria Contera? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So, who am I? Well, I am a mother. I'll start with a mother of three that has been working in the corporate world for like nearly 25 years, if not more, and decided
Mm,
after that to take a career change. And I actually am a holistic wellness and life coach. And I entered that arena because my time in the corporate world, which I absolutely loved, I got to a point where I was actually burnt out, and I had to put some
mm,
strategies in place fairly quickly to recover from that and to prevent it from
mm,
happening again. And once I did that, I actually
mm,
felt the best I ever felt in my life. And I thought, you know what, I need to be doing this
mm,
for other women in the corporate world. And when I started sharing my
mm,
story with a lot of other people in the corporate world, they all had absolutely similar stories to me. So it just felt like that was now something that I wanted to do. So I'm actually a
mm.
holistic wellness and life coach, and I support corporate working moms to implement strategies for prevention and recovery.
I love that, right? Because burnout, I reckon burnout is definitely one of those things that isn't given enough consideration in the world. It's definitely a subject that isn't spoken about enough. And, even for me, like I could tell you, even just yesterday, I did like one interview first thing in the morning, and I don't know what came over me, but I felt like really, really drained. And it might have to do with like the last couple of weeks for me. It's been really rough, in terms of working until late, morning till evening, not taking
Mm,
a break, not eating lunch, doing what's required of me, right? But that's
yep.
that's like obviously for you, you focus on women, right? So there's a lot of women that also do the same thing. But on top of that, like if we look at those traditional gender roles as well, a lot of those women are also juggling children, just like you were too, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And look, I hear where you're coming from. You know, it's not spoken about because what was incredible is in my whole time of working in the corporate world, no one spoke about burnout, was never talked about. And it wasn't until I
Mm,
decided that I was going to leave that role to go on be a burnout coach, that the amount of
mm.
women that I had worked for and worked for with for years actually put their hand up and said, you know what, I've been burnt out, or I was burnt out 6 months ago, I could have done with you then. But yet we never talked about it. And we had, heaps of social conversations at work, but never came up. So, and the point you made about feeling drained, well, that's where I actually recognized that I was burnt out, where one day I just got home from work. I dropped down my laptop bag, all my things. I sat down and I literally couldn't move. I felt like that was it. I had nothing left in me. And I remember looking over
Mm.
to the kitchen where I knew I had to start preparing dinner, and I just burst into tears because I thought, I don't even have the energy to get up from this chair anymore. I
I'm
was
not
completely
cooking dinner.
depleted, and I knew that I
You
just
looked
couldn't
at
keep
your
going.
husband, right? You looked at your husband, right? And you were like, I ain't cooking. You're going to get takeout or something. I am not cooking tonight. Like I could so see that, right? Like, yeah, I totally get that. And there's times for
It's
me,
just,
like, because my kids are pretty young. Yeah. You,
yeah.
you were about to say.
Oh, no, no, no. I'm all good. Yeah, go.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So, like, my children are pretty young. They're 5 and 8. And so, getting daddy's attention is something that they absolutely cherish, you know, and I've got videos of us online and things like that, and you can see they are glued to me, you know, they're literally latched onto me. They never let go. And so it's hard sometimes too, because you end up coming home and you've had this massive day, and you know you are feeling
Mm-hmm.
drained, and you know you get to a certain point where you're just like, I don't even want to, like, I can't, like, I love my kids, but I just can't give them that time and attention. You know what I mean? So, like, I think this is going to be a really, really important conversation today. I think it's going to be a really great interview. That's for sure. You know, definitely.
Yeah, I could certainly relate to that because I think that's one of the issues with burnout, you know, that it doesn't just affect you or your career, it affects your family life as well, because those moments where normally you cherish, you know, having time with them, you actually, you know, you're short with them, you get temper with them, you snap quickly, and it's not great.
That's right. That's exactly right. And there's been, like, even for me, like, I'll be honest, there's been times where I have snapped at my kids. But you know, in that moment,
Mm,
I realize a couple of minutes later, and I go and I sit down with them. I feel bad. I go, you know, I was probably a bit too harsh. You know, they're just wanting attention. They're just wanting time. You know, that's really what they
exactly.
want, regardless of whether they were doing something they were supposed to or not. It's besides the point. They were
Mm,
seeking attention and time and quality time with their dad, and I have, you know,
mm,
have had to apologize to them, you know, in those moments. But I think sometimes for some people, they get so overwhelmed by everything that's going on that I don't even think they have the headspace to consider apologizing to their kids for snapping at them for absolutely no reason at all, you know, and that does something long term, you know.
mm. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, the overwhelm, absolutely 100%, because that's exactly, you know, how I felt. And all I had to do was think about dinner. It's the overwhelm. And you know, I think when we think about burnout, we do think about like it being occupational related, but I do believe in my case it was not just that, but also parental responsibilities and home responsibilities, and the combination of the two just making it extremely overwhelming of
Mm.
everything you have to try and juggle, and you know, the commitments, the responsibilities, whether it is family, in the community, at work, like so much going on all the time. Yeah.
I completely agree with you. You know, so I mean, look,
Mm,
burnouts, again, it's something that's rarely spoken about. So from what I understand, you do wellness coaching to managing burnout for women in corporate roles.
mhm,
You know, what would you say would be some key signs that people need to consider, you know, if they are at work? Because I know the thing is, right, Maria, is that I feel like in the workplace, and in like how that lady came up to you and said, "Oh, I had burnout 6 months ago," you would have never have known because it wasn't spoken about, number one. But number two, when people go to
mm,
work, there's an expectation that they leave their problems at home. So it means that they put on this facade that they're happy, they communicate, they interact with their colleagues. And so you'll never actually really know because, you know, professional standards have kind of painted this picture and provided this blueprint of leaving all of your personal baggage at home. And even if the burnout is
mm,
coming from a combination of work and home, it's still considered that
mm.
personal baggage. And so, and that's part of the problem, right? So, what would be, you know, maybe say your top 5 signs that people need to look out for that are signs of burnout? What would you say they would be?
Yeah, I'll look, the first one will have to definitely be the levels of energy. So we're talking about over a period of time. You know, you're always going to get days where you're not having great energy and you're tired. But if you're consistently
Mm.
struggling, you know, to find your energy.
Hey, yes, you. I'm talking to you. And I know it looks like the interview, but it's actually not. We're taking a really quick, short break so that way you can hear me out. I really want you to hear me out here. If you are a business owner, you are building your personal brand. I mean, you could be anyone. You could be a real estate agent, you could be an astronaut, an IT professional. It really doesn't matter who you are and where you fit into the world. This interview is great for you. If you're really struggling to make content, and let's face it, right? When we get our phones out and we're like, you know, taking selfies and doing videos that way, it just comes across as inauthentic. And the other side of that as well is the fact that it's just so hard to come up with ideas of what kind of content to create. And this is where our interviews absolutely bring a powerhouse and an arsenal of, basically a war chest in terms of your organic content marketing that you're creating. We create the TikToks and Reels for you. Here's the thing. I've got some great news. The great news is that this interview is completely free. We boost your SEO on Google because we go and feature these videos like the one you're watching on YouTube. And not only that, but we also give you free content to post to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all the rest of it as well. So if you haven't already, in the description down below is a link to Linktree, where you'll see the opportunity for you to book your very own interview and get free content for your personal brand or your business as well. I'll see you on the other side of the screen.
In the morning, when normally you're the kind of person that can, bounce out of bed and get on with your day. So definitely energy, motivation. So a job that, I love doing, always loved doing, but just wasn't liking it, and just, felt like I had to really drag myself throughout the day to keep motivated to do what I needed to do. Cynicism, sitting there being negative about everything, there's no positive light. And, I totally get what you're saying about the facade, because that's exactly what I had. I had this cool, calm, collective thing on the outside, but on the inside, I was, unmotivated. I was feeling negative about work, and having all these negative talk about, I don't even know why I'm here. I can't be bothered. And do I even want to be doing this anymore? And, feeling tired, but yet feeling like rocking up to work that I, was all good to go. So they're the key aspects to feeling like you might be burnt out. I think too, like when it comes to burnout, with myself, like we all go through periods of stress, right? So you have peaks of stress and they should come down. But I think now when I look back at it, I was constantly in a state of high stress and just going through life at this really high level of stress. It never came down. And I think that's because I just absorbed it and just dealt with it. And I probably dealt with the stress really well, but what I didn't realize is how much it was affecting me. So it's just trying to recognize those whispers too, that your body is telling you that it's exhausted, that you're running high and level on stress, and this thing that we have as sometimes working moms, that we just feel it's our normality to constantly be, hectic, crazy, trying to juggle 1,000 things. And it's being self-aware. So going, you know what, this isn't normal. I shouldn't be constantly traveling on this level of high stress. It needs to come down. So yeah, absolutely. For me, they were the key things that I felt. I just went, you know what, something's not right here. I just can't move. I've got no
Yeah.
energy. I'm not myself. I'm not myself even with my family, my friends. I didn't feel like socializing. So dissocialization was another one, because, just to try and go out on the weekend and socialize was like a chore. You were too tired. You couldn't be bothered. So it wasn't even just feeling that for your work day, it was rolling out onto your weekends as well, and affecting the time you're spending with family, friends, or just out in the
Yeah.
community as well.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And,
Mm.
in saying that, motivation is such a big component. And like for me, sometimes, like at the end of the day, sometimes you have to show up regardless. Like you can't just stop in your tracks and be like, all right, I'm throwing in the towel. I know for me, like I've got a lot, relying on me. I've got my daughters full time, so like, separated from my ex fiance. I've got my children
Mhm.
full time. They're relying on dad to be able to provide and put a food on the table and a roof over their heads, and basically their basic needs at the very least. And so sometimes it's like, I have to prioritize between how I'm feeling versus what I need to do to make sure that they have what they need. Because obviously, the moment we have kids, you know, they automatically become the more important thing in life. You know what I mean? And so
They do.
that for me has been one of the biggest challenges. And sometimes it's hard finding those sources of motivations. I tell you now, like some days, like, look, we're doing okay around here in terms of the business, but you know, I get to a certain point, Maria, where I'm just like, I just kind of want to not do anything for the rest of the day, but I have to. And you know, you get to those points. But what would be like sort of your top suggestion for someone who's lacking motivation? What would be something for them to be able to, you know, find a source of motivation outside of their minimum obligations, like to their family?
Do you know what? I think for me, my motivation was actually me. So I agree with what you were saying that, we put our kids as our top priority. And I understand that because as a mother myself, like, why wouldn't we? They're the most important things in our life. But I knew I wasn't being the best mother and I wasn't being the best employee because of what I
Mm,
was going through. So my motivation was to be the best mother and to be better at what I was doing and to be the best at my work. I had to start making
mm,
changes. And I straight away just started researching so much on where I needed to start with making myself be a better mum because I was burnt out and I was, snappy and the relationship even with my husband, that we couldn't have conversations without me getting narky or getting upset over something because I was just so tired. So for
mm,
me, the motivation was I want a, to be the best mum I can be. And I think, we hear it a million times that saying that you have to put your oxygen mask on first before you put it on your kids because if you're not at your best, you can't be the best for your family, your workplace, your employer, your friends, your community. So it has to start with you. And for me, that was a big motivator. I had to change
mm,
myself. I had to make time for myself, even when
mm.
time was crucial. And you think I don't have enough time. But you know what? I started my journey with just giving myself 3 minutes to myself every day. We talk about don't have time to do this.
Okay.
All I wanted to do, that was my first step, was to motivate me, is that, Maria, all you have to do is give yourself 3 minutes today to go for a walk. I literally started with a 3-minute walk. I put on my headsets, put a song
Mm.
on that motivated me, and I'd just get out there and I walk. But that was what motivated me. Start small. We try and fix things straight away big, but just simple. Think about where you want to go. Think about how's life now, but what does the ideal life look like for me? Where do I want to be? To me, that was the biggest motivator.
And I think about like that comment about putting the oxygen mask on yourself before you do your kids if the plane was crashing, right? And you know, like if I'm being honest and sort of reflecting on myself in this moment, right? I feel like this is a console, but if I look at what I'm doing now, I feel like if the plane was going down, before I put my mask on, I'd be looking around to see if anyone else needed help. And I'd get out of my chair and put their bloody mask on. You know what I mean? Like and I think that's just kind of the type of person that I am, is I'm always constantly looking to elevate others that are around me. And I guess you're right. Like maybe I
Absolutely.
don't put enough attention or effort into myself. I think that makes a bit of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And, a lot of mums, and I'll say dads as well, because, I say I work a lot with mums, but then I've had dads reach out to me as well. But we've got a lot of responsibilities that we're juggling. It doesn't stop. You go to work, you've got all of that, and then
Mm,
you come home and you've got your parental responsibilities, running kids around, looking after them. You might have responsibilities in the community if you do voluntary work or, you're part of a sporting club or whatever. So you've got a lot going on. And we do tend to put ourselves, at the bottom of our to-do list. I know I certainly did. For me, the weekend
mm,
came and I never exercised. I never look, I always ate well, but never took time out to exercise, look after myself, or, just take time to just be in my own space. But it is so important. And yes, we naturally
Mm,
just do think about everyone first, but we can't be the best for them if we're not
mm,
at our peak. And I think that's just a change in mindset. So I talk about mindset with my clients because it's going from what I call a mindless mindset to a me mindset, you
mm.
and it's not
Yeah,
selfish.
yeah, yeah.
It's hard because we think it's selfish, but it's not. You have to be looking after yourself before you can look after others the best that you possibly can. And it took me a while to get that mindset shift,
Yeah.
but absolutely once you have it, you'll realize how much better you are as a parent, as an employee, as a friend, as a partner, all of that.
Do you think that, like, for a lot of people, I mean, like, how about let's take you in this example, right? Do you think that, I suppose, what you learned growing up from your parents, do you think that had anything to contribute to a certain attitude towards work or managing yourself, or potentially ignoring your health? I know for a lot of, I've got a lot of European friends. I'm European myself. You look at
Mm-hmm.
their fathers and you look at the situation there and you say, they're always the ones going out, just shut up, put your head down and keep going. Do you think that played a role for you, growing up and over the years, when it came
Oh,
to your work ethic
yeah,
and burning out?
absolutely. Yeah, look, I grew up in a European family. Dad worked, left at 6, got home at 6. Mum was at home looking after us, but, was constantly working in the household, keeping the place clean, feeding us amazing meals every night. And there was this huge
Mm,
thing around work ethic, like you have to work hard, you've got to save money, and it wasn't about taking, like, my mum would never have taken time out for herself to go and exercise. She was too busy keeping the household going and paying the bills and doing the groceries and looking after 3 kids and all of that. And I saw that growing up. It was pretty much that era of, working hard, being loyal to your employee, and, even on your sick days, you just rocked up and you kept going. It was about,
mm-hmm.
mums working hard at home and pushing through even if they weren't having a good day, but still making sure they got that 3-course meal on the dinner table at night. So when dad came home and when the
Mm,
kids were
mm-hmm,
all home, we
mm-hmm.
still ate well regardless of whatever happened or how she was feeling that day. So yeah, look, I absolutely believe
Yeah,
it stems from,
yeah.
what you see as a kid, your
No, I totally
values,
get that.
yeah. And it's a European thing, is that you look after each other. You serve, you have family come over, you put on, a big spread. It was all about everyone else.
Oh
Um,
yeah. It's not just the immediate family, the extended family of and the cousins, brothers, sisters, cousins, third cousin's wife comes. You know what I mean? I get it. I
yeah.
get it completely.
And look, that's not to say that wasn't
Absolutely. Couldn't
amazing,
couldn't
because
agree with you
it's
anymore.
it's it's awesome that we had all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of hard work, and it was about everyone else. Absolutely, always about everyone else. And even growing up with that mentality of don't do this, don't do
Yeah.
that, because what
And
would
this one
people
would
think? So, in the background, I'm
yeah,
thinking,
go on.
don't take time out for yourself. What are people going to think? She's got 3 kids and, she's off doing this and that. Or how do you get time to spend, just taking time out for yourself when you've got 3 kids at home? So that whole guilt and that whole selfish thinking sets in. Like, the amount of mums I talk to,
Mm,
they don't look after themselves because they feel guilty
mm,
to even take, time out for
yeah.
themselves. But there's ways around that, and there's lots of things, and that's where a coach like myself comes in, just to help them realize that, one, it's not selfish and there's no reason to feel guilty, but there's strategies around that, when it comes to actually taking time out for yourself. Because taking time out for yourself, even if you want to go, like I did, a 3-minute walk, sometimes my daughter, who was much younger then, just wanted to spend time with me. So I said, well, you know what, well, you got to come on this 3-minute walk with me. And we listened to the music together. So rather than sticking the
Yeah,
plugs in my
absolutely.
ears, I had it on speaker and we did it together, so yeah.
Yeah, and
But
that's nice, right? Incorporating them into
yeah,
those activities.
yeah. So then I'm getting my
Yeah,
exercise in. I'm getting
that's
time
awesome.
with my daughter. We're doing something healthy. I'm showing her it's great to look after yourself. I'm showing her that mum needs time to also look after herself, and giving her that different
Mm.
example, raising her as the young lady she'll turn out to be. That it's okay even when you're busy and you're a
Yeah,
mum
that's
that
what I
you
was
just
gonna
have time
say.
out for yourself.
I was gonna Yeah, I was going to say that, right? Like, because the thing is that you're now setting the example, and you're leading by example to your children, because we always go back to childhood trauma, right? So there was childhood trauma growing up from parents, from things that happened through high school, whatever it might be, and we carry a lot of that baggage into our future as adults. And so now, if you're showing, if you're showing your children a version of you that brings abundance, and that quality time with yourself is important, you start teaching that to them, so they start learning those types of attributes in how to cope with how they're feeling when they're older as
Yeah,
well. They're gonna if they grow up with all of that, then
mm,
they're in a position where they're learning from that, which is awesome.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I'll let my daughter know if I'm going out for a walk or if I'm going to the gym, even if I know she's not going to come with me. But so she knows mum's taking time out to look after her
Mm,
health. Mum's taking time out because, she needs her space, or she needs to be fit and healthy on the inside. So whatever it is. So I do, and once upon a time I felt bad about doing that, getting up at 6 in the morning, going to the gym, because I think I should be at home, or helping them to get ready for school. Look, and having said that, the two are old enough, but she's capable as well. But I know I'll be back in time
mm,
with plenty of time to spend with her before she goes. But it's telling her, look, I'm off to the gym. I do this every day, or I'm off for a walk if you want to come, or I'm going down to the beach if you want to come.
mm,
But I'm going down to have my walk, or
mm.
whatever, and it's sharing with them so that they know, yeah, that's what mum does. She likes to look after herself, and yeah, and teaching them that it's okay to take time to do that.
Absolutely. And Maria, look, we're coming to a close on the interview. I reckon there's going to be thousands of people with a burning desire sitting at the edge of their seats going, I need to speak to Maria. I need to speak to Maria. What's the best way for people to find you?
Yeah, so they can find me on my website where they can book a call with me, a one-on-one consultation, and that is www.workandbewell.com.au. I'm also on social media, and I'm on, LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Work and Be Well Coach, so they can also follow me there. But absolutely, head to the website. There is the button that will take you instantly to book in a consult with me. It's 30 minutes free just to have the chat. So yeah, absolutely head there. You can see my full story there as well. You can read all the articles that I've written as well on burnout, and I'd love to have the chat. And look, just to have a chat anyway, see where you're at, see where you want to go, and how we can possibly work together to make it happen.
Legendary. That's awesome. And guys, if you want to reach out to Maria directly as well, feel free to shoot us an email, support@launchday.au, and we'd be more than happy to put you in touch, and put out a request for Maria to contact you if that's the case. And Maria, honestly, this has just been a wonderful interview, and it's been insightful. So I think for me, I've had a few moments where I've had to stop in my tracks and think, and also reflect, which is great. That means the message that you have to share is a powerful one, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Look, thanks so much for having me, Dean. I absolutely love it. I'm so passionate about sharing my message around burnout, particularly since, like I said, there are a lot of women out there that know of it, have it, but are afraid to come out and speak about it. And that's why I've just chosen to, be vulnerable, do this work, because if I can help hundreds of women out there to do the same. I know what's achievable, then absolutely that my job is done.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Maria, thank you so much for coming through. It's been wonderful. I really, really enjoyed it. And for everyone that's at home, whether you're listening from work, from the office, from the car, from home, from the shower, I say this every time now because we've actually found out that people listen from the shower, Maria, which is great. Wherever you decide to
Awesome.
listen, that's fantastic. And absolutely. And guys, we will definitely see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Launch Day Shorts podcast. We'll see you soon.